Hello, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? I feel like it's been like a week since I've been on here, probably because it has been a week since I've been on here. Hi, guys. Hi, Fizzy. Hi, Carol. Hi, Bianca and Mandy. How was your guys' weekend? I'll tell you, I slept so much this weekend. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm like a little nasally, but it was like in my chest. I felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. But I took a bunch of Airborne and Alka-Seltzer, and I swear that does the trick. I swear it does. Yes, I do feel better. Hi, Modo. How are you? I don't want to be like hacking in your ear either. Hi, Kat. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to give it a minute or two. Let people come. Hello, thank you. Hi, Miss Potts. How are you, my dear? I'll give it a minute. Give it a minute. I have a bunch of different little things today. Some of them I just really, hi, Christina. Some of them I really just have some questions on because I haven't really seen anybody talk about it or ask these questions. So that's what I have, some questions. And then I have a couple of other things. Yeah. What do you guys think about Steve G and Mrs. Steve G on Nancy Grace? Oh, that was making me upset. Not upset, but hi, Jackie. Not upset, but just like irritated with them. I don't know why. I mean, Steve kind of irritated me from the beginning with this whole like, somebody, alpha, somebody's got to be alpha. Like, stop. You didn't care enough to help your daughter when she was here, but now you care because it's bringing in those dollars? Sir, take a seat. Take a seat. Yes, thanks, Bianca. She put, hey, Corey, Bianca just put Miss Potts' channel there too. Tune into her. I like how she's very factual. Everything is fact. You don't get any of the extra, like, oh, can you see this or can you not see this? Can you hear this or can you not hear this? And no offense to any of those channels because those are great as well. But I do love factual stuff. We get into a little speculation over here, but for the most part, it's the stuff we can see, we can read, we can hear. So yeah. All right. So I do want to start with this because I'm going to give you guys some homework. Anybody who has a dog, you now have homework. Okay. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Let me pull up Sherlock's latest video, Sherlock Roams. And we're going to watch it real quick because I do find importance in this, and it has to do with y'all's homework as well. So I shall play.
What up, rebels? Just popping in real quick to show you something very, very interesting. This was found by fellow hive mind nitwitch. The account is Spybird. Thank you, Spybird, for finding this. This is very interesting. Let's take a look. You're about to hear, we're on, the setting is Banfield. We're on the Banfield body cam. It's 3:11 a.m. and Officer Tisdale is about to lock the car. And you're going to hear a couple of car horn honks. All right, let's get it.
Football game and Saturday, like I was expecting, busy, but it's slow.
Yeah. Boom, there you go. 2 little car horn honks. Very quiet honks, right? Very quiet honks. I would argue that those honks are much quieter than Murphy's barking. Wouldn't you say? All right, so let's move forward. So here we are. We're now at 1330, parking lot Linda Lane cam. Same timestamp. 3:11 a.m. and 26 seconds. Let's hear those car honks, baby. Let's get it. It was kind of faint. Did you hear it? I'll go back once more. Here it comes. Listen hard. I'm so sorry to everyone who can't hear that, but I clearly heard the car horn honks. Let's move on. And here we are at the good old trusty 13.
So I can hear the first one he just played. I struggle with this one, but I thought I heard it. I could be wrong. It's very difficult to hear this one, just so you know.
20 dumpster cam, same timestamp. Listen close. Yep, I heard them. So you can hear them on all three cameras, guys.
I could hear those before on this particular camera. I could hear it when it was on my phone. When it's on my computer, I cannot hear it. But they are there.
Why is that important to point out? That all three cameras, the Banfield body cam, right? The Watchdog body cam cameras, Axon body cameras, their microphones picked up the car horn because it was right next to the car. The 1330 Linda Lane parking lot cam picked it up. The same car honks at the same timestamp. And you can say the same thing about the 1320 dumpster Linda Lane camera microphone. It also picked up the same car honks.
Yeah, you definitely would need headphones for the last one for sure. I could just vaguely hear it when I had it. Excuse me, when I had it on my phone. I can't hear it at all on the computer, but headphones, you can hear it.
So let's measure out some precise measurements here. You can see we're on Google Maps, hovering right above the Queen Road Apartments. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you've got the scaler on Google Maps. We're using the 100-foot or 20-meter scaler here, okay? And extrapolating it out, I figured out that 1122 King Road is approximately 248 feet from the Taylor Ave fire hydrant. Okay, 1122 King Road is also about 230 feet from the 1330 Linda Lane parking lot camera. Okay, 1122 King Road is also about 398 feet, almost 400 feet, from the dumpster cam, the 1320 dumpster cam. Okay, and that cam itself is about, that dumpster cam, 1320, is about 409 feet itself from the Taylor Ave fire hydrant where the car honks happened. Our maximal distance between all the microphones of all these different cameras in proximal relation to each other, our maximal distance is 409 feet. So this proves definitively with acoustic forensics, okay, we just did a little bit of acoustic forensics here, and we were able to prove that even at a maximal distance of 409 feet, all three microphones on all three cameras can pick up even the quietest car honks 409 feet away from Taylor Ave fire hydrant, from the undercover Ford Fusion, okay? So let's go to the neighbor's ring cam in the 4 a.m. hour, the 1112 ring cam, and let's head over to about 4:16 a.m. over there. Here we are in 1112 neighbor ring cam. We're about to have the thud, 4:17 a.m. There's the thud. And Murphy kicks in. Murphy is barking his head off. He does this incessantly. It's not just that Murphy's barking. Murphy is barking incessantly and constantly from this moment all the way up to 4:30 a.m. and past 4:30 a.m. And it's constant. It's constant barking. I would argue that this barking is also much louder than the measly little car honks that we just established can be heard across all Linda Lane cams at a maximal distance of 409 feet. So I ask you folks, here's the same timestamp on 1330 parking lot, Linda Lane cam. We don't hear any dog barks. We should hear them very loudly and very clearly. Okay, this microphone for this camera is only 230 feet away from from these dog barks, allegedly, right? It's only 230 feet away. And from this location, you're only talking about 398 feet away from the Taylor Ave fire hydrant. And it picked up the car honks over there, which were much quieter. So we should definitely be hearing Murphy barking here at this time, and we don't. I'm not going to bore you to death and listen to the next 5 minutes. There's no dog barks at all. So go watch it if you want to confirm, but that is the truth. And here you go. It's the exact same thing on this timestamp. Now, I understand the dog barks would be very faint here, but you'd still be able to hear some dog barks because the dog barks, again, are much louder than the measly little car honks that the undercover Ford Fusion did when it locked its doors at 3:11 a.m. and 26 seconds. So something's definitely off. We should be hearing the dog. Something's wrong with the Murphy dog barks in the 1112 neighbor ring cam footage. Something's off about those barks because they should be appearing here according to the acoustic forensics that we just worked out and the topographical distances that we just worked out with respect to the proximal locations of all three of these Linda Lane cameras. One ring camera, 1112 ring camera, the neighbor's house, versus 1330 parking lot Linda Lane camera versus 1320 dumpster Linda Lane camera versus the maximal distance of 409 feet away from that camera to the Taylor Ave fire hydrant where the car honks occurred is 409 feet. Like, we should be hearing Murphy and we're not. So something's wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Love you.
So he's right. There is something off with Murphy's barking. And actually, so a while ago when I was playing the 1112 camera footage on my phone kind of over and over and over and trying to figure some things out, especially with Murphy, I was trying to figure out if I could tell if he was inside or outside. What I found in that moment was that my dog didn't respond to Murphy's barking at all. And I didn't think of it. I did not think anything of it at the time. But I was like, oh gosh, I probably shouldn't play this because Bronx is sleeping and it's going to make him, perk up and then he's got to go for a walk. And, so I didn't think anything of it at the time. But I got a text message from our very own Fizzy yesterday. And Fizzy said, hey, I played a bunch of different dog barks on my phone and my dog perked up for all of them or reacted to all of them. The only one my dog did not react to was Murphy's barking. So I was doing it. And again, no reaction from my dog either when I play Murphy's bark. So your guys' homework tonight is if you have a dog, I want you to play different dog barks from your phone, like different breeds, things like that. And then play Murphy's bark. And I want to see if your dogs react to Murphy barking because ours did not. Fizzy texted me that she did that. And I was like, that's weird that you say that because I distinctly remember thinking when I was playing Murphy's bark, oh, this is going to wake up Bronx. I shouldn't play it. And I kept playing it and he didn't move a muscle. But other dog barks from my phone, he notices it. He perks up. I find that very strange. Like, there's definitely something wrong with these dog barks. The other thing I question is, let me see. This one says, I've been thinking about it for a while, and if Murphy had seen the killer, then surely Murphy can recognize Brian if he was the killer. And I think that's a great thought. There's no reason that they shouldn't have even tested that. I think that's a great idea. Why? It's free. Why would you not just test something so simple? Does he react to who we think did this? Because he sure was reacting that night. And especially since they arrested Brian Koberger, basically, a month and a half-ish, if that later, wasn't a super long time. It's not like a year later or 2 years later, right? So it's only about a month and a half. That would be a really good idea, I think. And then this one says, and why didn't Ann Taylor ask for this? And obviously, I think she should have as well. However, Ann Taylor was still not able to get the very basic bits of information or evidence from the prosecution. Every time she would ask for something, like let's say she was asking for 1112 camera footage, they'd give her like a little snippet of it with no audio. So then she'd have to put in another request. I need the whole thing. And then they'd give her another snippet without the audio. So she was having to spend so much of her time just getting simple requests sent to her, like, hey, you have a video. Can I see it? And they're like, yeah, here's 2 seconds of it. And she's like, yeah, no, I need more than that. I mean, that's what it was the whole time. It's like, can I have this? Can I have this? And they would barely give her anything. And sometimes they would say, oh, we don't have that, when we know that they do. So I think it's the fact that Ann Taylor didn't ask for this because she was still just trying to get basic information out of the prosecution, which is, I think, part of the whole reason that there was a plea deal anyways. She wasn't ready because they weren't giving her the information that she needed, that she should have been able to get. So that's my answer, is why I think she didn't ask for this. She couldn't even get to this point yet to ask for little things like this. She was still asking for the big things, which is crazy and it sucks. Hi, Liv. Hi, Stacy. How are you guys? Hi, Steven. And so Steven says, I'm thinking that was not Murphy because of how Murphy was still hiding at 12 p.m. on the 13th. If he was barking that seriously, he would be barking at the cops when they came in. And I think that's an interesting statement because a neighbor said that they woke up to barking. A neighbor also said that when they came home at 4:30 and let their dog out, they heard tons of barking, but it was coming from a different address. It was coming from 1155, not 1122. And I think that they would know that where it's coming from, right? They live in the area. They're taking their dog out. They probably have noticed it before. And we also hear another dog barking on the body worn camera when they are at the scene. And that can't be Murphy because Murphy was in Murphy jail. He was in doggy jail. So I think Steven could be possibly right that it may not actually be Murphy. My other thing is, on the flip side, was Murphy just in there hiding because he had had a really exhausting night and morning? Obviously, he barked for an hour straight. Who knows? I don't even know if he was inside or outside. I don't know if he was even there at all. We don't know that, but we know something terrible happened, probably in front of Murphy, and Murphy spent the next hour barking. Who knows how long he was awake after that. So I don't know. Is it Murphy? I don't know. Murphy was then also taken to the, pound, and then they let Jack get him out, but he had already been taken out by another officer. So are they purposely taking Murphy out so they can't run tests on him? Why didn't they run tests to actually see if there was any DNA on him at all, if they possibly could have? Just because you can't see the red fluid doesn't mean that he wasn't washed or whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure if it was Murphy at 1122 or the other dog or whatever dog the neighbor was talking about that lives at 1155. Who freaking knows? Hi, Jeff H. Jeff says that camera is under $100. I wouldn't expect too much from a microphone that cheap. I don't know. I feel like the distance from that microphone to 1122 is much shorter of a distance than the dog that I can hear barking all day long 6 streets over or 5 streets over. I mean, it's a distance over there, and I can hear it all day long, clear as day. I don't know. I think it would still pick up something. I really do. I started to look into this. I'm glad you actually said that, or I wouldn't have even talked about it again. But I started to look into this because what I did was I took all the video footage that we have and I screen recorded it by each hour. I split it up into hours and I screen recorded and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, hey, can you tell me if there's any looping in this video? Is this all, organic video, or is this altered? Is there looping in this video? And ChatGPT was like, yeah, there's absolutely looping in this video. And I wanted to do it with Murphy's bark, but I did never end up doing it. But I will do that and see what I can come up with because I totally forgot about it. So thank you for saying that. And I think that's very possible. I really do. There's something off with this dog. Whoever's dog it was, there's still something off with it, in my opinion. This one says, my dog never reacts to recorded barking. That's interesting because Bronx will react to when he hears other dogs on my phone, no matter what kind of dog it is. He will react. The only one he's never reacted to is this 1112 video of Murphy or whoever's dog it is barking. He doesn't react to that. Love Another Habit says, Murphy wasn't there. I believe that was a pre-recorded bark played on a loop to be consistent with the 4 a.m. timeline. And I think you could be onto something. I do think there's something very wrong with it. I'm going to do the screen recorded thing. I mean, anybody can do it. If you guys want to do it too and see what we come up with, just the only way to put video into ChatGPT is if you screen record the whole video first and then put it into ChatGPT. I know a long time ago, Birdie was messing with it and he was trying to upload the video itself into ChatGPT and it doesn't work that way. You have to screen record it and then you can put it in. That's what I figured out. Hi, James. How are you? Let's see. Smiling Sleuth says, if you listen carefully, it's a loop of 2 blocks and then 5 barks. That's interesting. You know what else is interesting is right before Murphy barks, on the 1112 camera, you can hear almost like an audio change. It's like a quick flip almost where you can hear the audio change. It almost sounds like it got louder, but it's just like dead air, but it sounds like it changes right before Murphy barks. It's very strange. Very, very strange. Let's see. Yes, Murphy was a Labradoodle. So I did find, and Fizzy did as well, found some videos of Labradoodles barking. And they were like around the same age, about a year old. And it varied a little bit. Most of them were consistent and sounded very similar to the bark that we hear on 1122, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the same dog or the same type of dog. It doesn't necessarily mean that. We both just listened to them and kind of thought that they sounded similar, but it depends. I mean, I can definitely tell a difference between a boxer dog's bark and other dogs, but other than that, that's the only one I can tell the difference of what kind of dog it is. And a lion, that's cute. Yeah, Mandy says, how can you say that you hear everything within the house, but not a loud thud or Murphy barking for an hour? Nobody said anything about Murphy barking for an hour straight. I think that's wild that they didn't even bring that up or say that at all. A golden doodle? Okay. Murphy's a golden doodle. I thought he was a Labradoodle too. Golden doodle. Maybe not Labradoodle. Yeah, golden doodle. Yeah. I think that I'm trying to picture them. James. All right. So I have a few things here. One second. Let me wipe my snotter. Okay, I'm going to pull this up real quick. Okie dokie. Just a few things I want to just show you guys really quick. These should be pretty fast. So here, oh, you can't see it. Let me see. Oh, shoot, you can't see it. Why? Oh, we could see it that way, though. That's weird. Okay, so I want you guys to look at the blood pooling on the floor. And by the way, one second. And by the way, this is not carpet. I keep seeing people talking about the carpet in the bedroom. There's no carpet in this house that I know of at all. It's all hardwood floor. So I find this blood pooling, the larger one, right in the bottom right corner that's closest to the pink blanket. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor or not, so I'm just trying to describe what I'm looking at. So it's the larger blood pooling. If you look at the very right side of that blood pooling, it looks like a crescent shape. So there was something here blocking this blood from continuing to flow. And I'm just curious what was there that was obviously moved, because it stops in a very strange, perfect crescent pattern on the floor. I don't even think I can blow it up either. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I can. Hey. Okay, this guy. Do you guys see that? It's like a perfect crescent, almost like a cup was sitting there or something else. But what I also find interesting is the whole area right there. It looks like there's a void right there. Do you see how there's like this pooling, and then there's something in the bottom right corner, and then we have the pooling by the nightstand and on the nightstand, and then over to the side there's a little blood pool. But all of this space in between, there was something there. I don't know if it was a person and they were then moved or something else. To me, it looks like there could have been a person there. I'm not sure what parts of their bodies were there, but it looks like there's a void there from a person being there and then they were moved. I'm just curious what was sitting in this little area where the blood stopped moving in this crescent shape right here. It's very strange. Thank you, On Top X. Thank you so much. Shiba dog happily massaging his cheeks with his mouth wide open. Thank you so much. Yeah. Or even, yeah, you're right. Or even a suspect was in that area. But there's definitely something in this area to create this void, or this blood would have been all over, because we see it even come down. If you look directly down from the pink blanket, there is, I mean, it almost looks like some sort of like footprint or something. It's not though, but it just looks like smearing of some sort or a print of some sort. And then if you look in the right corner, whatever that's on, I don't know if that's a bag in the very right-hand bottom corner or what that is, but there's blood all over that. And then if you look down, to the left of that, there's more there. I'm just saying there's a void right here, and I have no idea why, but to me, it looks like something was there. I just don't know what it is. It's just odd. I was looking at this earlier today, and I was like, why is there a little crescent shape in this blood pooling right here? There had to have been something there. Hey, I did not mean to just do that. Uh-oh, now I'm stuffy. Okay, so now this one, This one is, well, let me actually, what the heck? What did I just do? Good Lord. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yes, Santa did have a black, I think it's black and gray or black and white rug right there, kind of towards the end of the bed, but up a little bit more. Yes, and it was round. You are correct. Love and Other Habits. It was absolutely round. And a lot of people think that that's what you see in the redacted photo when they take that picture into her room from a distance, down the hall. And they have it redacted, and there's obviously something on the floor right there. A lot of people say that it's the rug. I also think that it could possibly be blood pooling as well. I don't really know if it's the rug or if it's blood pooling, but to me, it looks like it could be both of them. So I'm not sure which one it is. But yeah, I did know that there was a rug there for sure, and I'm pretty sure it's black and white or gray, something like that. This whole case is so strange. It's just so wild. Like, yeah, it's wild. So this is one of the mattresses, and I was sitting here thinking, like, whose mattress is this? Is this from the third floor or the second floor? And I came to the conclusion that I think this is Maddie. It couldn't be Ethan, because Ethan was all the way on the other side of the bed. And we don't see red fluid at the bottom of the bed, so it can't be turned around either. So this has to be Maddie. The only problem I have with that is that there's red fluid all the way to the top that looks like the shape of a head. And then obviously we see a torso and red fluid to the right and the left. The problem with that is Maddie was the only one who didn't have a subclavian artery cut or a jugular cut. Hers was lung and liver. So I'm really confused on how there would be a stain on the mattress of a head and torso when she didn't have red fluid in that area. Hers was liver, so it should just lower. I find this very strange. I find this as a purposeful visual for everybody. Just so they can show you, look, it really did happen. See? There's a blood stain on their mattress. This doesn't fit, though. This doesn't fit either. This can't be Ethan. The only other option is Maddie, and she wasn't stabbed in the places the other people were. She wasn't cut in the neck. She's the only one that wasn't, but she wasn't cut in the neck. She had a liver and lung laceration, and she had some on her arms and hands and stuff. But they said she didn't have defensive wounds at all, which I don't understand how she got cuts on her hands then if she didn't have defensive wounds, but whatever. That's beside the point. But yeah, I think this is Maddie's, like, blood, whatever. But it's just, I'm confused on why the pattern or the stain looks like this when she wasn't stabbed in the neck. She didn't have any neck lacerations. So how would blood get up at the top here like it was a bleeding head? Because there wasn't. I'm just confused. Love and Other Habits says, this was a highly organized crime. They had plenty of helpers. The frat boys are hunters and have access to blood. I do think this could be used in the staging of photos. What's interesting about your comment, actually, is I was looking at the red fluid droplets that were coming supposedly out of the house onto the concrete or the foundation there. And the way it's dripping looks really strange. It looks like it's coming from two different places. The more I look at it, the more I think it's staged. It doesn't look real to me. It's very odd. I should have added it to this, the really blown up one. If you guys get it, hey, Sculla, if you guys get a chance, really zoom in on that picture and you can see where the blood's coming from. in the backside of the house where the blood's coming out of the house, supposedly. It's like it can't be coming from two places, but that's what it's doing. It's coming out of two areas from the back of the house. And I would think one of the areas would be stopped by part of the house. I don't know. It's just strange. So the other one, this one is, I wanted to read this to you. This is transcripts from when they were talking. They were at court on May 1st of 2025, and they were talking about taking the death penalty off the table. This is the transcript from that hearing, but I specifically want to read you a little banter between the judge and Steve Gonsalves. So Judge Hippler says, and he's talking to Steve, he says, "You in particular have a history of speaking to the media, and I understand as a father your reasons. I'm asking you to set the desire aside so that we can get to a trial in this case." Steve says, "I don't know if I agree with that." Judge Hippler says, "Well, I'm just telling you what the facts are, whether you agree with them or not." Steve says, "The facts are that we don't have to have this gag order. That's the facts. We do not have to have a gag order. I think it's disgusting that we are even saying the word gag when some of the victims were gagged. I think it's disgusting that we are asked to hide what happened to our children. I don't agree with it." He didn't say one of the victims. He said some of the victims were gagged. Who was gagged? That's pretty specific. You know, he didn't say strangled. He didn't say asphyxiated. He specifically said gagged. When there was an interview with the FBI, do you guys remember the interview where that one lady was asking the FBI guys about Kaylee's other wounds and if there was another weapon? And they said no. She said, "Could punching with your fists create the injuries on the back of Kaylee's head that she had?" And the FBI guy said no. And then they asked, "Were they gagged?" And they said no. But Steve G seems to have information, or thinks he does, that some of the victims were gagged. And I just found that really interesting. So it goes on to say, Judge Hippler then says, "I don't care if you agree with it or not, sir. I also don't have to have a trial if I can't seat a jury." Steve says, "I understand you have a job to do, and so do I as a parent. These are my children. I care what happened to them." Judge Hippler says, "Your talking right now is not going to bring your child back." What a shitty thing to say. "And it potentially endangers the ability to hold the person you have indicated that you believe is accountable to account for this." And Steve says, "I don't disagree there." And then Hippler says, "I'm telling you what the ramifications are for continuing to talk to the media." He's trying to tell him to shut up. "That is what I wanted to share. That's what I wanted you to be aware of. I will enforce the non-dissemination order for any violations, and I will enforce them with vigor." That's wild. So Hippler's telling Steve to shut the hell up. And Steve is saying that some of the victims were gagged. I just had never heard that. So, yeah, isn't that wild for the judge to say that? And then I think this is my last slide before we get into the other stuff I want to share. So Dylan specifically said, "Oh shit, my phone's going to die." Well, she's got hella cords hanging in her room. I don't know if they are charging cords or not. But in the book, now I was listening to Lana at Truth and Transparency. I was listening to her read some stuff from the book. And in the book, it stated that Dylan said that she grabbed her taser, but it was dead. what I find interesting about that is this picture of Dylan's room. Is that a taser on her bed? Did she actually get a taser out and it was dead and won't work, so she just threw it back on her bed? Because it looks to me like that's where she was laying. It looks to me like that's where she was laying. She got up, grabbed her taser, it didn't work, and she threw it back on her bed. Does this look like a taser to anybody else? Because if that's true, now, Patterson said the things that he wrote in that book were facts. They were facts, that he talked to all the people and did interviews with all the people that he talked about. So is this a taser and Dylan just never mentioned that to anybody? And that brings me then to Bethany talking about the spark that she saw. Now I know Bethany said that the spark she saw was orange and that she also said it came from upstairs. But, if they're going to say, oh, I'm too drunk, I don't know, or I'm too tired, I don't know, then it can be said that you were too tired to know the correct color of the spark that you saw or the time that you saw it, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, the information they gave may not hold a whole bunch of weight, but this looks like a taser to me. You think I think, yeah, it could look like a vape as well. I thought that when I was looking at it, but then I was like, it could also be a taser. I don't know. I have no idea. It was just interesting that I heard that today. So I went back and looked at the picture because I remembered something being on her bed. And I thought, I wonder if that's a taser and not, a vape or a phone or whatever. Yeah, I question the spark thing so much because Bethany specifically said that it was orange in color. And her other statement about the spark was that she said, I thought it came down there. Her exact words were, I thought it came down there, meaning she knew that the spark or the noise came from upstairs. But how would you know that? And then also, how would you see that? Like, what could come from upstairs that would make a spark under her door and be orange in color when all the freaking lights were on? Like, what is true here and what isn't? It's wild. So yeah, those are the slides that I had. Let's see. Yes. So Patterson was horrible. He's a fiction writer and it showed. Yes, I agree. And it showed so much that I read myself. I don't know if you guys remember, but I started reading the book and doing videos of it and posting it for the people that didn't, buy the book themselves. So I started doing that and I was like, I can't even read this book anymore. I can't tell what's real and what's not. And some of the things to me don't sound real. It was kind of driving me nuts because I'm like, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. But then again, I wouldn't know. Did he interview them and that is what happened? You know what I mean? But I was like so taken aback by the things that he was writing. And I was like, I couldn't continue reading it. So I stopped posting the videos and I only read about half the book. It was driving me nuts. Scully, you just got a copy of the book? Oh my gosh, you're going to be pissed when you read it. You are, I promise. Fizzy says, I still stand by that Bethany was never on the bottom floor until they went down together. I am definitely leaning towards that as well. There's some statements that she said that make me think that she wasn't downstairs, that she was not downstairs. And it starts with the chip bag. If you grabbed a bag of chips and you went downstairs, why is there a bag of chips unopened in the living room? Did something happen when you grabbed the bag of chips and you had to throw them and deal with whatever was happening? I don't know, but it doesn't say I grabbed a bag of chips and went downstairs. It says I grabbed a bag of chips and now they're on the couch. So she is lying, I think, about the chips. At the very least. Let's see. Oh, I would love to have the cell phone analytics. Oh, we would. And the thing is why would they not get that? Why would they not get all of the victims' cell phone analytics? You can tell every time somebody goes upstairs. That would be really important to know the exact time that Kaylee ran upstairs. We would have exact times down to the second. Why would you not get that as an investigator? Yes, I would love to have that. That I do think that would answer so many questions. Maybe more than one bag of chips. Maybe. Panda says, why isn't there any reports documenting their cell phone data? Beats the hell out of me. Here's a couple of text messages that we pulled from their phones. Like, what? Why would you not just get all of it? Get their cell phone information. If these were two men in this house and there was 4 females and a male deceased around them, you bet your ass they're going to take their phone and they're going to get everything from it. And then they're going to be interrogated. Detectives use Xana's Apple Watch data to say she went upstairs. I wonder if detectives did something similar with Bethany and Dylan's phones watch to show they didn't leave the room for 8 hours until they called 911. It would be nice if they would have did that or done that. It would have been nice, but I don't think they did. I really don't think they did. I would have loved to see everybody's, Dylan's, Bethany's, and all the victims, their movements and their data. A social experiment, yeah. Very well could be. Let's see. What the heck? Oops, hold on one second. Okay. I'm glad you said that, Mandy. I asked this question in one of my very first videos. Did they not use the bathroom in 8 hours, 9 hours? I mean, that's saying that they went to the bath. They both went pee at 4 a.m. or whatever, but they hadn't. They all, were in Maddie's room, and then they went to bed. So Dylan was in her room at 3 something on her phone and saving context. She wasn't going to the bathroom then. So it's longer than 8 hours. So 2 people that were so drunk, they want you to think that they were so drunk, neither of them went pee. And I don't know if it works like this for everybody, but I know for me and my female friends, once you break that seal, you got to go all the time. I'm sure they went pee at some point while they were drinking, so then they would need to pee pretty frequently if they were that drunk. But apparently they didn't. No. That right there is what, to me, is a big reason that proves that they're not telling the truth. Y'all had to go to the bathroom at some point. You would have noticed the front door open if you went pee anywhere from 8 a.m. till 11. And that bathroom thing, and then the what was the other one? Oh, the heat not being on. That's another one that really gets to me. So you mean to tell me you guys sat there in the cold inside the house and didn't question it or whatever? That, and then you guys heard Murphy barking for an hour and didn't do anything? I don't know. They're definitely covering something up. And what do you guys think about this guy that had was it an FBI jacket or it was a ISP jacket or what's the other one? ATF, maybe? I want to say ATF. I want to say, okay, so there's a report. I'm sure you guys have heard about this. There's a report of a guy that lives close by, like a really close neighbor, that said his uncle, I think, used to work at the ATF or FBI or whatever. So he had a jacket that said ATF on the back or whatever it was, FBI, I don't know. But he said that that night of the crime on the 13th, in the night, he went in that house and he saw everything. I don't know if it's true or not. He called it in. He called himself into the police and said he did this. I don't know if it's true or not, but he said he went into the house and they were all double tapped. They were all pew-pew. And there's no report on that or anything, which makes me think it's not true. But it also makes me think, are you hiding that as well? Are you hiding the fact that an everyday citizen can put on an FBI jacket or an ATF jacket and totally compromise your crime scene and tell the public what it really was? Let's see. You call bullshit on the jacket guy. When I first read that, I was like, I think it's just somebody off their rocker trying to insert themselves into the crime. But I really would have liked to see them follow up on that. I really would have, because a lot of times people that commit unalivings try and insert themselves into the investigation, right? They'll call something in or drive by the scene over and over, or, stuff like that. So I really wish they would have followed up on that to see if that was true or not. But in the beginning, yeah, I was like, I will, Sally. I will. Thank you. Yes, it is in the documents. And I only read it one time and it's been a while since I read it. So I don't remember. I thought it was, yeah, I'm not sure if the police were in. I'll have to read it again. I just remember a guy going in there saying that he had a ATF or FBI or whatever jacket he had on and saw everybody. I do think, did he say nobody was in there? I can't remember, because I would think if the police had left, the bodies would have left already as well. I can't remember. I'll have to look at it again. But yeah. So we are going to watch this interview with the G's, and this is going to make y'all angry. It makes me angry anyway. Here we go.
At this hour, Koberger has been contesting paying funeral expenses on the 4 students he murdered.
Okay. That's not true. Ugh, she irritates me. That's not true. Brian Koberger is not contesting paying the restitution. What he's contesting is the fact that making him pay for their earns is making him pay twice. It's already stipulated in the court proceedings that he has to pay for funeral expenses. Don't you think the earns would be part of funeral expenses? So it's almost like they're trying to pull things out one by one and make him pay for them separately when he's already paying for them. He already has to pay restitution, and it's a large number. I would think the earns would be part of funeral expenses. He's not trying to get out of paying. He's just saying, I'm not paying twice for the same thing. That's it. It drives me nuts.
That's bad enough, but here's...
And she should know this. She should know this.
The question. If he's reneging on the deal, then the deal is off, and this case can go to trial if the prosecutor has the backbone to do it, which I doubt.
Let's all pray for that. Let's all pray for that.
Straight out to Christy and Steve Gonsalves joining us. Christy, you got a shocking letter from the prosecutor. Christy, could you explain what the letter says?
Yes.
Well, basically, it says that the travel expense part of the restitution cannot be paid via the defendant's restitution. So we can civilly sue him for it, which is just, we're exhausted, and now something.
Oh, you're so exhausted. You're so exhausted. What, collecting funds from the public? Is that what you're exhausted of? Because my goodness, lady, if you're so exhausted, why are you going to court over just over $1,000? It's $1,000 or $1,200. And that's what you're going to court fighting over and earn? That doesn't scream exhausted to me. I am starting to get a lot of bad feelings and thoughts towards the G's because Kaylee had to pay for everything. She had to pay for her college. She had to pay for her car. She did it all by herself. She had people in her family members blocked in her phone. Her family did not even go there when they heard that something happened to their daughter. But now you want to just put all this energy and effort into getting money from Brian Koberger to pay for a $1,200 earn? Stop it. Everything's about money with them. Everything's about money. They just want to continue to collect and collect and collect. To me, they are treating Kaylee like a dollar sign. And that's what's upsetting. All they care about is the money side. That's it.
This is just hard.
Christy, can I paraphrase what you just said?
Oh.
You can sue Koberger. That's what the prosecution is offering.
Wouldn't that be great if the G's got audited?
The mother of a murdered girl. I'm not going to handle it, but you know what? You can go hire a lawyer, Christy, and you can pay the lawyer to sue Brian Koberger. Let's take a look at this letter. It says, "Dear gentlemen," he can't even write your name. Attached is a copy of the court.
Mandy says, if you're so exhausted, why do you keep doing interviews? Oh, I can tell you, because they get paid for them. But that's exactly right. If you're that exhausted, why are you putting your effort and energy into all this stupid stuff and doing interviews? Because they get paid for them. It's all about the money. That's what it's about. And I'm pretty sure getting all of that money on the GoFundMe, which was well over $100,000, possibly double, if you know what I mean, if you count everybody else, but over $100,000 for a GoFundMe. I'm pretty sure you can take $1,200 of that and pay for your daughter's earn. Technically, it's not you paying for it anyway. It's the person who donated it to you. It's not even you. Then I hear they're trying to get what they spent from the donation money. I heard they're trying to get it reimbursed in some way. I don't know. I'll have to dig deeper into that. I just heard something about that yesterday.
Court's order on state's request for restitution.
Blood money.
Copies of restitution orders for your client's funeral-related expenses. It tells you to look at footnote 1 at the bottom of page 1. We were not able to pursue travel expenses. We were not able to pursue. Steve Gonzalez.
I wonder if anybody in the Gonsalves family even sat down and read these documents and really dug into them like other people do, right? That are trying to find answers. It seems like they haven't, because I truly feel like they're not stupid people. So how do they come to the conclusion that Brian Koberger is the guy when you've got 3 other unknown male DNA that's actually at the scene and their DNA is actually mixed with the victim's blood? Wouldn't you think that they would be a better candidate to be a suspect?
What does that mean? When the prosecutor writes you basically a form letter referring to you and your wife and others as "dear gentlemen," when I get something like that, I assume it's a bill collector. The state, in other words, him, was not able to pursue your travel expenses where you had to leave your job and your home and drive 7 hours and hole up in a hotel to be in court. They were, quote, not able to pursue that from you. Koberger has 5 figures sitting in his commissary account. He will make a movie deal. It's allowed under the law in Idaho. He will write a book. But they did not pursue those expenses for you, Steve?
Oh, my God.
No,
That is hilarious. Steven says, I wish BK would write a love letter to Nancy Grace. Can you imagine what her reaction would be like? I wish Brian Koberger would take a picture, like 100 pictures of his love handles and send them to Ashley Banfield. That would be hilarious too. But no, that would be so freaking funny. Oh my gosh.
Right off the get-go, we said that this deal, the plea deal could be done, but it has to be done correctly. And I didn't think he had the skill level to do it correctly. That's why we pretty much demanded that the attorneys generals get involved. And, that was the best option we could have. But yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, he's over his head. He's a boomer that's literally was trying to retire before this case even happened. And he's mentally retired. So we're the ones losing thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to his mistakes. And it's embarrassing.
How are they losing any money? How? I don't understand how they're losing money. Thousands of dollars? So you mean you spent the well over 100,000 K that you raised through donations already? You spent all of that and more? I mean, you get paid for interviews. I'd love to know how much they get paid for interviews. I'd love to know that information.
The state of Idaho. And I mean, we did everything for that courtroom so that they could get the resources and they could get the attention. And we just couldn't get him out of that room. And that really is what's hurting this case is we have Thompson in there just dropping the ball repeatedly over and over and literally admitting it. Like, I totally screwed up. Not apologizing, but just saying, I screwed up. I mean, because it's clearly obvious. The whole world's watching. He can't get himself.
Cat's like one word, hex. Oh, man. What an idiot, too. Oh, that still irritates me. I didn't even realize that it does. When he would wear his hex hat on all those interviews, it was for money. It was for money. Ugh, just using your own daughter's murder to get money from other people from, gross.
Out of it. But we've been bringing attention to this from the very beginning that there was, we talked about his office leaking information because we knew where the information was coming from, but nobody ever investigated it. Nobody even came to our family and said, how did you guys know that they were leaking information? Nobody's interviewed us to this day.
Can I ask you how you know it was the prosecutor's office that was leaking the info? Remember, there was going to be a big investigation and then it just disappeared?
There's a couple different ways. And
Panda says, so why did this bootlicker give a statement in court where he thanks everyone for how they handled the case? Was that bullshit, Steve? I think he forgets what he says. I think he forgets. Yeah.
And I won't get into it on an open microphone like this, but if you go and look how Ann knew to subpoena my lawyer and our family and what we were discussing, basically, if you reverse that back, you're going to figure out that somebody in that room told Ann that we were talking about one of the witnesses and we knew information about her. So she knew to subpoena our lawyer and the conversations that we were having with just his office. So how does Ann know? How does she even know that she should be requesting the communication from our personal lawyer to them?
What, Christy?
Why are you talking to a witness, Steve? Why is Steve talking to a witness? Shouldn't Steve get like tampering with a witness or something when he's trying to meet them at a McDonald's or whatever public place he was trying to meet a witness at? Isn't that like not legal? I don't know. I mean, it might be legal because he's the father, but I don't know. It might not be. I have no idea. But yeah, you were tampering with a witness, Steve. But Ann Taylor can't get. She's asking, it doesn't really matter how she knows. She's asking because they're giving her nothing. Why would she not ask for it? She asked for everything possible and she's not getting it.
Emails. She was requesting all emails from our attorney, Shannon Gray, our family regarding this witness. And it was like, okay.
And the only time you discussed that was with reps from the DA's office?
Exactly. Yes. Those are the only people we communicated with officially. And we didn't talk to anyone else about what we had heard. We had just heard it within probably 48 hours. So we went to them
concerned.
Oh, it's interesting you say that, Tiny True. Tiny True says, I assume they are losing money on a lawyer by choosing to sue WSU. It's interesting you say that because there is no paperwork that says that they're suing. If you look online, it says that they've talked about it, but there is nothing in motion to start suing WSU at all. Nobody's filed anything to sue. I don't know where that came from, but it seems like everybody knows about it. I'm not sure where it came from though, because there are no filings for them to be suing WSU. It might be coming, but if it is, that's kind of strange that everybody would know about it before it happens. I don't know.
Talk to them about it.
He says, and I'm quoting, as we previously submitted response to the court, we believe the Crime Victims Compensation would be able to reimburse travel and accommodation expenses after the fact. Then we learned that wasn't correct. So they entered into a deal before they even knew whether you could get reimbursed for all that.
They do still have the Rover. Yep. They paid off the Rover and he drives it. I'm pretty sure he's in it right now. Look at his seats. Look at the background. Those seats, I'm pretty sure, are in a Range Rover. Pretty sure. Yep.
That's what it sounds like to me.
On a Sunday, after talking to us on Friday. I mean, these guys didn't do much work at all, but now they're working on their Sundays to basically throw the case away. It's disgusting.
The last sentence in this letter makes me just want to chew a nail in half. Quote, at this point it appears there are no remaining outstanding legal issues in the criminal case other than ongoing review of previously sealed documents for possible public release. Sincerely, William W. Thompson Jr. No remaining issues.
I thought that was very weird.
No condolences, no sympathy, no empathy, no anything. I mean, This is basically a form letter covering his rear end.
I was very surprised to see how it ended. When I read that last sentence too, I was like, wow, that's how we're going to end it. No further problems. If you guys want to get a civil lawyer, you could sue him on your own separately. But
yeah.
I don't understand why they're so surprised. I don't understand it. Judge Hibbler can't stand them because of their media tours and the things he would say and how he's trying to meet witnesses at McDonald's. And Judge Hibbler is saying, like, look, you could cost us this trial, basically. But I also, on the flip side, sometimes I would wonder, well, does Steve hate, or does Judge Hibbler hate Steve because he is telling things that are true? And Judge Hibbler knows it's not going to trial, but wants them to shut their mouth? I don't know.
I'm very curious. Why do you believe, what could the possible motivation be? I have a theory that someone in the prosecution's office that you were speaking with, and I can only assume that you went straight to the top, discussing issues with a trial witness. And then within hours, the defense attorney suddenly wants to subpoena your lawyer's documents about conversations regarding that witness. All I can think of is that the prosecution, Thompson, wanted to further along a plea deal by releasing potentially damning evidence on a witness.
that's what we thought.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, there was a leak of other stuff, and they did nothing about it. Nothing. So what would be any different if that happened? There's no difference. We already have a leak. And they didn't do anything about it. So why would this matter?
Yeah.
If you connect the dots, you could see
What do
what's
you mean
going
by
on.
that?
Because the information that we had for them was damning to BK. So certain things people want to leak to scare people, to intimidate them, to let them think that there's more going on than what is, or just letting them know that you've got.
At some point, Steve Gonsalves needs to either shit or get off the pot. He goes on every channel and says some vague statement like they have some great piece of information that will, that's damning to BK, but then never says what it is. Steve, you've said that over and over and over in every podcast across the board, and most of it was a lie. Almost all of it, except for 2. I count 1, if that. We still don't even know about that one. So
you've got some information that they're not completely privy to. So
let's call him BK.
Obviously something was going on, because she knew to ask for our communications, and it just makes no sense how she would know that. This whole case has just been so hard to deal with. I mean, and all we did was demand that whoever was in that courtroom, that they just did their best job every single day. And I remember telling Thompson, because I was warned that he wasn't the man who could get this job done. So I just said, hey, if you're checked out, if you want to retire, I get it. I respect it. You worked your whole life. You're 70-some years old. You don't want it. Step away, and we'll go find somebody. We'll go get somebody. But he wanted the fame, but he didn't want the work.
Christy and Steve, the fact that Kohberger is contesting.
Andalion says it didn't have to be the prosecutors. The witness themselves could have reported the conversation because it was inappropriate. It could have been anything. They don't know. They're just blaming Thompson. They don't know. I still have a problem with the fact that they want to condemn Thompson and, you know, he's the worst and blah, 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 blah. He did a horrible job and everything under the sun. But the person you think did it is still in. It's just because Brian Kohberger is not going to die the way, you know, with a gun or whatever, the way they wanted him to. It's because they're not in control. I mean, the person that they think did it is still in jail for the rest of his life. So if you hate Thompson so much and think he did such a bad job, then how can you think that Brian Kohberger is still the guy? Wouldn't you think that means that Kohberger's not the guy then? I mean, it's like you can't have it both ways. You can't think that Thompson did a horrible job, but yet still locked up the person that you think did it. Which one is it? But yeah, you're right, Andalion. It could have been a witness. It doesn't necessarily have to be Thompson.
Issues within the plea deal. That's not the banner. The important part of this, we know he's contesting paying restitution. Could that renege the plea deal? Because if he is backing out of conditions of the plea deal, then the deal is off. Have you considered this could take the case to trial if Kohberger himself is refusing to pay restitution as ordered in the plea deal?
Well, when you bring it up to our attention like that, you know, with your knowledge of how courtrooms run and what has happened, I would love for that to happen, but I feel like it's all just games and none of it is taken serious. Like, oh, he doesn't.
I saw a comment earlier and it said, don't you think if Steve G had more damning information against Brian Kohberger that it would be public by now? Don't you think he would want people to know, knowing how many people don't believe Brian Kohberger did this? Absolutely. He would have said it. He doesn't have shit. He just says he does. And he's done that for the last 3 years. He says, oh, this and that, and we have this, and we had you on day one, and blah, blah, blah. We have all this information, and then come to find out that they don't even know how their daughter died. They didn't even know what her injuries were. So shut the heck up. And no, I am not victim blaming or shaming or anything. It just is the fact because of what they say.
I want to pay his restitution.
I'm a realist. I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm just a realist.
Slap, slap, slap. You can't do that. Pay your restitution. Move on. Not, you know, you did a huge thing. You violated the plea deal. There's no, you know, second chances. We're going to trial. Just all game. It's just all the defense game. I mean, it just games all the way around. I just feel like it's just never ending. And now we're left with, well, you could civilly sue. And that's just so frustrating. It's like, you know what, we're out, you know, a lot of money with everything.
You are not out a lot of money. Stop. No, you're not. And what else do you want? What is it that you want? Because the person you think did it is spending 4 life sentences plus 10 years in prison. What do you want?
The last thing we want to do is sue and just be dragged into more and more court. You know, we were just hoping that they could handle it. The state could handle it on our behalf. So it would be nice to say you violated the plea deal. So we're going to trial.
Well, this is what it boils down to, Steve. let's look at this. So I take a plea deal, 20 to serve. All right? And the defendant then goes, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do 20. Well, then the deal is off. Paying your
I agree.
restitution is an important part of that deal. And if Kohberger contests it, fine. I'd be mad if he didn't. Now let's go to trial. That is possible. He's reneging on the deal. That's on him. So what you'd have to do, what we would have to do, is get Thompson off this case. He can't try this case. Someone else, an independent prosecutor, would have to try it.
And let's get a different judge, too, because Hippler seemed to be in the back pocket of Thompson the whole time. I want to know what Thompson is actually into, because he seems to have a lot of people in his back pocket. Just curious.
Which would be great.
I would love to see that. I would see that. And per that letter, he doesn't respect the investigation that Hippler's doing. He didn't say that was still going on. He said, we're done. We're over. He has no fear of Hippler's investigation because he holds all the cards. He has all the power. So I would love for an independent person to come in and look at it. And we're talking about this guy has been trying to.
Why would he care? Why would he care? He's not the one doing the investigation. It's not up to Thompson. It's up to Judge Hippler. And it looks like Hippler's not doing anything about it.
Control the narrative, PK, from the very beginning. The minute he even got in prison, he started writing up complaints and started doing formalities and saying, you're going to transfer me, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We got to just put our foot down to these kind of psychopath killers and stop entertaining them and stop treating them with baby gloves. It's just disgusting. And we're doing it all the way up 3 years later. We're still entertaining. And
still doing it. Question, have either...
I'm sorry, Brian Kohberger is still a human being, and human beings have rights. So if Brian Kohberger is sitting in prison in terrible conditions and being eaten alive by bugs and whatever else and wants to be moved because people are throwing shit all over him, literally, and saying they're going to rape him and stuff, they might not like it, but he's still a human being. He still has rights.
You or Christy reached out to the feds to take this case?
Steve has talked to them.
I have talked to the feds. It's been a while since I have, but they're the ones that told me Thompson wasn't even ready for this. They're like, don't go with this guy. This is not gonna end well. But they also at the same time told me we're not gonna give you the death penalty either. So I tried to pick the lesser of the two evils, and I was saying, well, at least I get the death penalty in Idaho, and I had a lot of belief in the Idaho system. I was just let down by a prosecutor who just was already retired, and I didn't know it.
Steve and Christy Gonzalez joining us tonight on top of these revelations.
I think if there was, if he did get go to trial, get the death penalty, all that still wouldn't be good enough. It would not be good enough. Nothing is going to be good enough. They also want to drag this out because each interview they do, they get money. The longer it's dragged out, the more interviews they do, the more money they get. But couldn't be bothered to drive to go make sure their daughter was okay. Or not. Yeah, he's putting everything on Thompson. Everything. He's putting everything on Thompson. And he shouldn't be.
In this cold-blooded form letter from the prosecutor to them saying, yeah, you're not going to ever get your money back. That's insult to injury. The money, yeah, they're out a lot of money, thousands of dollars. They're out their daughter. They are out their daughter. Their daughter was horribly murdered. And we didn't know the truth about what happened to Kelly until after the secret plea deal goes down. And now they're getting another gut punch from a made-for-TV movie. And this is what their daughter, Olivia, has to say.
Hi, so that's not...
Oh, this makes me so mad. So mad. I commented on this, I think.
Not icon. You're young, so maybe you don't know. But I've looked at the past stuff you've done, and I think you know. There is such a thing as defamation, which can be crushing to a career. Not that you really have one, but if you'd like one, maybe you should just think about it. Maybe you should just think about if Kaylee was your sister. Maybe you should just think about what you put out into the world, like dancing around in between scenes. Maybe you should think about the projects that you take on. Maybe you should think that if you lay with dogs, you might get fleas.
And same goes to you, Olivia. maybe you should think that there are tons of people in this world, and I'm talking hundreds of thousands, that have never heard of this case, and you aren't that important. There are people that have not heard of this case at all whatsoever. And I could imagine it might be some of the people that were cast to be in this movie. They're just actresses. They're doing their job, what they were hired to do. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's defamation. They didn't say anything about Kaylee. They didn't say anything bad about anybody. They're young actors and actresses doing a dance on their break or on their lunch or after work, still in costume. To them, it's a costume. They're allowed to do that. And I don't ever want to hear that any of the Gonsalveses, especially Olivia, ever watched a documentary on or a Jeffrey Dahmer movie or a BTK movie or the Night Stalker movie. I don't want to hear that they ever watch something like that, because it's the same damn thing. There's actors and actresses trying to show you what actually happened in a dang movie. It's the same thing. So I sure hope they have never watched a movie that had, that was based on true events and had actors and actresses in the movie playing these people. I bet you anything they've sat down and watched a movie like that. But only when it happens to them is it now a problem. I don't think those girls and that guy doing a dance on the internet in their costume for work is a problem. I personally don't. I don't see a problem with it. They probably have never heard of this case.
So,
get over yourself.
Maybe you should just think.
Well, maybe you should just think about how much Ozempic you take. Okay.
You look like you might be capable of it.
That's from @Olivia Gonsalves on TikTok. And ever since she first opened her mouth, I knew that she's a champion.
Dandelion.
What is she talking about, Christy?
But it's okay for Olivia to defame all day long. It's okay for Olivia to stand up in a damn courtroom and call Brian Koberger a freaking pedophile in front of everybody, knowing where he's going, knowing he's going to prison. And when you're labeled a pedophile, it's bad news. So it's okay for her to make something up about someone else. Whether she thinks he killed their sister or not doesn't make a difference to me. If you're talking about defamation, you also can't stand in a courtroom and call somebody a name that they're not. He's not a pedophile. These are not children. Rant over.
Well, one of the actresses, I think it was the one portraying Kaylee, had a TikTok, and they were her and Maddie were dressed up. They were bleeding, and they were dancing with the defendant, and the three of them were dancing and laughing and hooting and hollering and whatnot and carrying on. And she posted it on TikTok, something about loving her job or something.
Oh well, oh freaking well, that's her job. Oh well.
And it was like we were just appalled. We were like, okay, have fun with your coworkers after work, but I mean, do you have to, be dancing around? And
you were seeing this from Haley Hansen on TikTok. Christy, when you discovered that,
how is that defamation? How is that freaking defamation? Oh, these people. Were the G's always this way or just became this way because of the loss of Kaylee? Can anyone see Kaylee acting like Olivia does, or was she more friendly? Well, I know that the G's tried to say that Kaylee was really friendly, but I think there's a lot of people that said that they weren't, that she was a bully. I don't know if they were always this way, but also, even though Kaylee was a bully herself, allegedly, in my opinion, that I heard from somebody else's opinion or fact or whatever, I don't know, so Kaylee was a bully, but also, I guess Kaylee had I think it was it Oliver? Was it her? I don't know who she had blocked, but Kaylee had people from her family blocked, and I want to say it was Olivia. So it sounds to me like maybe they were always this way because Kaylee had her own family blocked and Kaylee was a bully herself. So you can imagine how bad it is then.
this was going on, how did that make you feel? Because even this many years later, after my fiance was murdered, when people write about it and make negative comments about it, it never goes away, the pain from that, much less someone dancing around on TikTok in the middle of portraying Keely.
Interesting, right, Steve?
It's very hard.
Steven says their daughter is the last thing mentioned after the thousands of dollars.
It makes you sick. It makes you literally sick to your stomach. And there were others where she is dressed up, with a lot of blood on her and stuff. And
they're angry about this. So Scott says they're just angry because they aren't making money off of the film. That's why she's bringing up defamation, trying to work some way to make of it. Trying to work some way to make off of it. Okay, yeah. They're pissed. I'm going to tell you why they're pissed. They're pissed because nobody even called them or contacted them to be a part of this movie. Had they called them or contacted them to be a part of this movie, they would have wheeled and dealed for a price for them being part of this movie or putting in their 2 cents on this movie or whatever, however way they were going to be connected to this movie, and they would have been just freaking peachy about it. But because nobody called them, because nobody freaking cares what they have to say, nobody needs them in this movie, Olivia really thought that she was probably going to be part of all sorts of movies because of her performance or the thing she wants to call a performance in the courtroom that is laughable. They're just upset they weren't contacted. That's it.
And smiling and saying, I'm all, ready for my scene. It's disgusting and it hurts and it makes you ill that somebody would actually take a role to portray somebody that died in such a horrific way and make light of it.
She's mad because somebody auditioned for a job. It's her job. She's not doing this on her free time. Whatever. I mean, that's her job.
Make light of it and have fun doing it, like not even somber or like, gosh, this is really hard, but no, let's have a dance party after and let's make TikToks in between scenes.
They're going to get somebody else to play Olivia. Olivia just wanted to play herself and they were like, nah, not good enough.
It's hard.
Steve Gonsalves.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly, Mandy. There's so many true crime movies. Stop it. If they sit there and say that they've never watched a true crime movie that's based on true events, they're liars. We already know they're liars, but they're extra liars.
That you guys have much bigger issues than some actress, Haley Hansen, dancing around in fake blood.
I thought I heard something about them being in talks with something or somebody about some sort of production about this case. I could have sworn I heard that. I don't know where I heard it, but for some reason, I feel like I remember that. And Fizzy says, weren't they in the talks with Netflix at some point? I don't know if it was Netflix, but I swear I remember hearing that. Right. They never watched Dateline. Get out of here. There's no way that at some point they haven't watched something that's based on true events. It's the same thing.
During an outtake during a break from the movie. You have a lot more on your plate than that. But how did that strike you? Because I can see how upset Olivia is about it.
I look at the bigger picture, and it feels like every time I turn on the TV, I see some like.
Jeff H. says, I thought Olivia's victim impact statement was perfect myself. I know you do, Jeff. It's okay. It's okay. I didn't like it. I think it just felt so like I need attention. That's what it sounded like to me. But there were just some things she said in there that are not true. So that irritated me. But I know you liked it. It's okay. You can like it.
Shooting, killing, mass murder. And I think to myself, we have multiple problems, but one of them is kids who think they can do TikTok dances after, as being part of this messaging, as part of this narrative, as part of this corrective measure, if you want to say that's what they're trying to do.
It had nothing to do with real life. They're playing a role. That is their job. They were done with their role that day. They did a dance on TikTok. It's not connected. Stop. Get over yourself.
Because I want to refuse to think that it's entertainment. But clearly, that organization doesn't understand what they're trying to represent. And they don't have a clear message. And they're not trying to help society get better and figure out, when these people put out these red flags, that we do something about it. Part of that could be a documentation or a document on it and say, these are the red flags. And if you see these things in your community, put your foot down and make sure that somebody takes action. But when you see kids dancing and doing stuff like that, making light of the whole situation, they do the exact same thing to somebody else's child and somebody else's school shooting, somebody else's, tragedy. And you're like, we're just going to do this all over again. If we don't learn from these people and from these cowards, we got to put some action. And we got to put some action behind our words.
Joining us tonight, Christy and Steve Gonsalves. Thank you for being with us. I know that every time you have to talk about this, it just brings it all up again. If you could have your wish, which of course would be to have Kelly back, what would be your wish now regarding this furor and Kohberger refusing to pay restitution and this ridiculous movie? What is your wish, Christy?
The wish of wanting Kaylee back is obviously that's not possible. So my only other wish would be for him to hurry up and take his last breath. And we could be done. We can never have to talk about him again. And as far as movies go and books, you just got to roll with the punches. You can't fight them all. You just can't. But
oh my gosh, you guys, wouldn't you guys just lose it if Samantha was called to be an actress in that movie? Wouldn't you guys lose your mind? I would laugh so hard if Samantha was called to be a part of this movie. That would be epic. Epic. Oh my goodness. That would be great.
Him being dead would be great.
I get it. If you think that that's who did it, I get the strong emotions. I just am not sure I personally could say that about another human being, no matter what they did. But I'm not in their shoes, so I don't know. I just think it's kind of I don't know. I'll shut my mouth.
That'd be my wish.
Me, I would try to make something positive out of it as much as you possibly can. And I feel like that's what me, Olivia, and the family's doing is we're trying to put some actions. We're trying to put.
What will all these people say when Kohberger's found innocent in all charges and walks free? I'm hoping someday something is proved. I hope someday all this unknown DNA is tested at the very least and found out who they belong to at least. That's all I want. And I want pictures of the food left at 4 a.m. by the DoorDasher. That's what I want, because I don't think she dropped off food.
We're trying to rally around anyone who sees something disgusting and puts their foot down and says, all right.
Not to mention, guys, it's a freaking Lifetime movie. Who's really watching it anyways? It's a Lifetime. Who's really going to watch it? What, the 1,700 people who tune in? You're mad about it?
I've had enough. I think that's the best we can do. And if we can.
Mandy's on a roll. Mandy keeps saying that when Brian Kohberger's found innocent or something comes up that, proves somebody else did this, that they're going to have to go on an apology tour instead of a media tour. That cracks me up.
Take this murder and all the people's attention on it and say, hey, there's no point of having red flags if we're not doing something about it. And we see all these killers and we look back at their past behaviors and there's all these red flags, but just not enough action behind them. People just dodging the bullets, just saying, we didn't know. He was a normal person. No, you did know. There was.
Jeff H. says, I love the way Olivia turned Brian's research questions back onto him. That was very clever. That was actually clever. I do give her that. That was clever. I just don't really like it. It bothers me that she called him a pedophile when he's not at all. Where did you get that from? I don't know.
Things there. There was girls making complaints all around this individual over and over, and you just refused to listen to them. You just refused to do something when they were crying out for help. And it's happening all the way to today. we're going to lose tens of thousands of dollars because the prosecutor refused to help us. He couldn't do it. He didn't, whatever the reason, he failed us.
On what? What are you losing tens of thousands of dollars on? On what?
And it's just happening over and over and over. And we need some accountability. And this family is all about, doing whatever we can for these girls, these victims, to make sure that something comes out of it that changes society and helps, reduce this type of crime ever again. That's the best I could hope for.
Bombshell tonight. Crime Stories now streaming first on Fox 1. That's right. You can now watch all the new episodes of Crime Stories first with Fox.
Sorry, I was deep in thought right there. All right, let me get this off the screen. Oh, what is this? Mandy says 30 people will watch the movie on premiere night and 10 of them will be the G family. Oh, man. All right, guys. I'm actually going to hop off. Let me make sure I don't have anything else that I wanted to say really quick. Not really. That's about it. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to say is, wouldn't it have been really, really nice if somebody would have drug tested Dylan and Bethany? Because they kept saying things like, I was really out of it. I don't know if I was just seeing things. Maybe they were on something. Just maybe. It would have been nice to drug test them to see if they could back up the fact that they were seeing things or hallucinating or whatever they were trying to say. That's the only other thing I wanted to say, is I really would have liked to see what was in their system as well. Me, I do not have a Twitch. I don't know what a Twitch is. Twitch stream? No, I do know what it is, but I don't have one. Y'all pro burgers still don't get that he admitted to it and that his time to appeal has already passed. Well, y'all guilters, can you tell me how much of his DNA was found at the scene? Huh, guilter? Please put it in the chat. How much of his DNA was found at the scene? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know when you find out. Because I know. Do you know? Did you read the documents? Do you know? Let me know. Just curious. Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys. Don't worry, if I don't get you in my chat, well, nah. Yeah, true. How many times was he excluded from all the other evidence? Oh, also, that reminds me, there were 3 male DNA left at the scene. There was also male red fluid mixed in with the victim's red fluid. They never tested who that was. Do you know who that was? Because it wasn't Brian Kohlberger. Don't you think the person who did it might have their DNA mixed in with the victims? Yeah, most would say that. That makes sense, right? But it wasn't Brian Kohlberger's because they tested it. Well, don't you think if that was his knife sheath that there would be a lot more than just one skin cell? I'm just curious how much DNA was on the knife sheath of Brian Kohlberger. That's all I need you to answer. That's it. I'm not sure why you can't, since you're so knowledgeable on the case. Just tell me how much of Brian Kohlberger's DNA was on there. You do know it's transfer DNA, right? You do know it's less than that of a secondary transfer. Secondary, here, I'll explain it to you. let's say I touch this, right? I'm touching this. I have my DNA on this now. A secondary transfer is, let's say I touch your hand, then you touch this. Now my DNA is on here, but it came from your hand. The amount of Brian Koberger's DNA on the knife sheath was less than that of a secondary transfer. He didn't touch it. He didn't touch it with his own hands. That's how that works, since you know so much. True. Why wasn't his DNA on the victims? Oh, they're just going to say, oh, because he had gloves on. He had gloves on. But other DNA was mixed with the victims. How come Brian Koberger's wasn't? How about the bloody glove in the front yard? Wasn't Brian Koberger's. Nobody's dumb in here except for you. That's it. That's all. Planted. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. It's getting late. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate all of you. Thank you to my mods. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so, so, so much. I'm so happy to see all of you today. I hope you guys have a great start to your week. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more important,